Thank you. Welcome to the Finance Committee budget meeting of May 6th. All members, Alderwoman Finlayson, Alderman Payon are present and accounted for. First order on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I will move approval of the agenda.
Okay, I'll take one of those approvals as a second. All those in favor of the agenda signify by saying aye.
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 The agenda is approved. Next order is minutes, and I don't see minutes. So we'll, I don't, let me update this.
Did we get them yesterday or today?
I don't see minutes attached.
I added them yesterday after yesterday's meeting and refreshed it, so they should be on.
I don't have them. Would it be under here deliberations? No.
No, it's
Says
under
there's an
approval of
attachment.
minutes.
Yeah, I don't have an attachment, and I just updated Granicus, but if somebody else does, do you have it, Brad or Sheila?
No.
I don't see them either.
Yeah. So it didn't come through somehow. So let's defer the minutes and move into the heart of the meeting, and that is to discuss the draft report from the Finance Committee to the City Council, which is quite brief and actually spends more time focusing on the more general findings from the meetings of the whole. I don't know how you want to proceed, committee. I'm certainly, you can just give me your edits. We have to add more because we have a meeting this afternoon. I don't know, Alderman Payon, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the fact recommendations. We've got them this morning. I don't know whether we want to reference them or just let them stand independently, but overall,
I haven't read.
Pardon me?
I haven't read it yet.
Yeah. So how should we proceed?
Mr. Chair, I think we go through the draft report.
Okay.
You know, I have a couple of questions, but I think we should make either an attachment or a reference to the fact report.
Okay. Attach would be, it would be included as part of the document. Attach fact report.
Well, the report comes to not just the Finance Committee, though. It comes to the whole council.
It has, yeah. And the fact report has gone to the whole council. So, all right, let's go through and I hope everybody's working on version 2 that I sent out around 8:15 or 20-ish.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Fire away.
Well, unfortunately, I have the old draft in front of me in paper form and the new one on the computer, so I've got to cross-reference. I'm looking for where we reference amendments. In the old draft, it's like the top of page 3.
Amendments by the council to the budget?
Yeah, by the committee.
I guess
under
at this
findings and recommendations.
Right. The only thing there I referenced was the changes that we got from Dr. Nash that we made yesterday to amend fees mostly and fines. So I just noted that we looked at those changes and are offering them as an amendment. They'll have to be changed by the administration for the final thing, but I guess what I'm looking for at this point more is either major missing parts or things that you're not comfortable with the statements and that we need to talk about any kind of revisions for things. I already know I didn't say anything about the discussion with transportation, which was basically, if I recall it correctly, was a dialogue largely between Alderman Savage and Dr. Dua about the future of transit, and it had to do with on-demand, but also regional transit. That was a question I threw in there. So what I tried to do there was to capture the flavor of the dialogue. We had a 3-hour dialogue with police, and I thought it was very productive, but I'm not sure I captured it. I captured it in my sense of it, but it might not be consistent with yours. And the same thing with the dialogue with fire, which was actually got fairly specific, but was pretty much generally, we understand the costs and we understand the services that we get. And then the dialogue with Mr. Johnson from Public Works about, which got into career ladders and issues like that, but general pay equity kinds of things that we've discussed across the board, which I'm not sure we address. In fact, I'm sure we don't address that in the budget, but it was a broader issue. And at our meeting yesterday, when we were discussing with Tricia, we talked about wanting to have some follow-up. So I wanted to get a sense of that in there. And I think anything.
Mr. Chair, can we kind of be, because you're kind of all over the place. My question was, in your original document, you said we voted, and it was questioned yesterday, I guess, voted, it says 3-1 to recommend passage of all 3 budget resolutions.
Is that still in there? Draft.
I can't find it, so maybe you took it out.
I thought I had fixed it. Yeah, so it's on the second full page under committee findings, and it says by a 2-1 vote recommended passage of 01021. The ordinance includes an amount of distribution of community grants. Likewise, the committee recommended to the city council passage of the capital budget and the CIP by a 3-0 vote. Committee also voted 3-0 recommending passage of all 3 budget resolutions. Finally, the committee voted 3-0 to recommend favorably on 01121 compensation legislation.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's it. That's what I was trying to find.
Okay.
In the next section, and this is what you've just recently been elaborating on, where
Right.
we're talking about the cost of employees.
Right.
I would like for us to find a way to refocus to services. You know, employees cost, but employees cost because they're providing a service. So
Right. No, we understand.
I said employees cost because we're providing a service. If we didn't have public safety, you know, or police, then we wouldn't have costs for them. And in turn for that cost, we get protection and service in our communities. So I would like for us to focus our attention on services instead of just the cost of employees.
So do you have editorial comments in a paragraph or two where you want to focus that?
Well, I mean, I would prefer it to be throughout. I'm just getting this. So, you know, I would love to incorporate it into what you have written here.
I think that's totally fair. And I also agree you haven't had a chance to do that. So that's why I'm saying I would really focus for this meeting, which I don't think needs to be very long, on any major omissions or errors in statements and then receive from you. We still are, this isn't going to be a finished document because we have a meeting this afternoon. So I think we have time to get your editorial comments and get everybody at a comfort level. I'm looking towards, is there anything we left out, or is there anything that is misconstrued? And that doesn't have to be done right now. And in fact, I would think it'd be more productive not to do it right now. We don't have to hold all the staff here. So things, as I was saying, I did think that I could go back and we could talk about, because I noticed this when I was working on the tables that I look at, that COVID has distorted things. And so it's hard to make a 21 to 22 comparison because there's those distortions for transit and parking and the federal aid money and so forth. So this year's analysis is somewhat confounded. And I didn't make that point. And then I think in terms of some of the dialogue in the committee meetings of the whole, I forgot to get in discussion of transportation. And those discussions are where I'm really looking to the two of you. I put down my recollections of what happened at those meetings, and that will have, my personal impressions that may not be consistent with what you heard or what you want us to express. So, and then we will get, hopefully, maybe not, maybe this afternoon's meeting will be mercifully short. We'll have more information as we have the last meeting of the whole. But I would also appreciate comments. This is a very brief report because I don't think we need to say more than we're saying here. First of all, as we've said many times, Jody and staff have done a fabulous job of giving us a very clear document to work with. And it's very easy to follow it. It's very easy to follow the logic of the legislation. And we took it up and we dealt with it expeditiously. I don't think we have particularly much value added. There's no revelations that we're going to be springing on our colleagues, particularly since most of them sat with us through much of this. So I'm thinking that a short, concise document for this report is more than enough.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have any problem with that.
Okay. So I guess I'd like, Sheila, you're muted. Sheila, you're muted.
I was saying that I agree also.
Okay, good.
I know you had gone on, but.
So I think I'd really, unless there's something else we need to do now, I'd really rather adjourn and give you, I did send this to David and Jody too, and Jody already came back with some editorial comments, some of which fortunately I'd caught already in version 2, but this is, I want them to see it. I want to know them to know what we're thinking and saying, and then, there's no great mystery here. So I guess what I'd like to do is after we have the meeting this afternoon, I'll try to add more to cover that, send out a version 3 to you, or maybe wait until you get back to me with your comments, incorporate those, and then send out a version 3 tomorrow. We can work on it. And what I was thinking is maybe if we need another meeting, we could meet Monday morning, or we could meet just before we're going to do in-person city council. You tell me how you want to do it. We probably need to have one more meeting after today to pull together agreement on the document before we deliver it to the council.
Mr. Chair, this is a relatively short document.
Yep.
And if we adjourn early today, then I would prefer to take that hopefully hour or more and go through this and get my editorials back to you. I guess my question is how you expect us to move forward this afternoon, because it will not just be the Finance Committee, but it is our recommendation. So when Alderman Payon and I send you the recommendations for the changes by the committee, maybe we adjourn at 3:00 for the whole and then take the last hour for just the finance committee to codify our report.
Well, that could work. Yeah.
And then we don't have to have another meeting on Monday necessarily, you know.
Yeah.
But since everybody's going to be there and, well, I can't say how many people are going to attend or how many people are going to weigh in, but this is our report. So, you know, Alderman Payon, are you good with getting your recommendations or your editorial changes to Alderman Arnett before the 3:00 meeting?
Yes, I'm going to have very few, I'm sure.
Okay, that means you can get it to him before the 1:00, right?
The 3:00.
No, I said
Right.
what I wanted.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Just trying to get them to you
All right.
sooner rather than later so
right.
that you'll have some time to look at it and so forth.
Katie.
Katie's got her hand up.
I just have a scheduling question. There's going to be some budget revisions that need your approval before they go to council. So I didn't know if we could talk on that before we adjourn.
Do we have them?
You don't. I can get them over to you today. At least 2 of them. There might be a third, but I'm still working on that one.
Do we,
Okay,
will we
well-
be properly notified?
Or what's the nature?
It's fund transfers, I believe. I'm not sure if one of us is an essay, but there's at least one fund transfer. And we were trying to get that done, I think, for the Monday meeting. But I think the agenda has to be amended. And I think the only other meeting now is going to be this afternoon, correct?
And that's how it's looking, but you never know with us.
I think what we were asking is, can we do those as early as this afternoon or not?
I guess that's a question that would need to go to Ms. Green and probably Law. I mean, will we have given proper notification?
Are they the FTs that you sent me, Katie?
There are 2 FTs. There's probably going to be a third, but you have
I have,
at least one of them. I was waiting on DPW to sign the other one.
yeah,
and
I
I
have
can
7 and
get that.
8.
FT
I was
7
just
and
waiting for you to.
Yep.
They would just introduce them on the floor, so that's fine.
Here it is right here. I have to sign it and take it up to David. That's the one that you're waiting for.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about timing now, just because there's been a delay
My
on
question.
our side.
I had a question about the 3:00 meeting. You guys, are you reviewing amendments? Because if you are, I don't see how that last hour is going to work.
Yeah, I have some questions about that, but I also have questions about proper notification to the public about these things. I'm almost feeling that it would be better to think about having a quickie meeting Monday morning of the Finance Committee with proper notification if we're going to be doing essays and FTs or whatever the other things are. That'll still be in time for the council meeting, but I think we need to make sure we have proper notification.
Mr. Chair, if we're thinking along those lines, I would propose that we have our Finance Committee meeting an hour before the council meeting. I'm thinking about staff and having to come in early in the morning to do finance and then to stay late in the evening for the council meeting. So
That's
could we, kind of truncate that time in some way so that we're not doing that?
The only 2 reservations I have is us doing something in an hour. But more importantly, if we were making amendments, how do we make those fixes and disseminate the report just an hour before the meeting?
I thought we were talking about the essays, the 3 essays that we have to approve. We're
I don't know
talking
what
about
they are.
amendments now?
Well, I don't know. What was your sense of meeting an hour before the council meeting?
To approve the essays that Katie
Okay.
has said, there are 3 essays that need to be approved, right? And they're not ready for us to act on this morning unless Jody can run upstairs.
And that would give
You know.
Ms. Green time to give proper notice that there'll be a meeting of the Finance Committee an hour before City Council, which means we'll have to be there because City Council's in person.
Right.
So we'll have to be there at 6 o'clock.
I mean, I'm looking for other options, but I just, morning and then expecting people to stay late.
Yeah.
That is the nature of my life right now. I come in on time or early, and I stay for whatever evening meeting you have planned. So that's not out of the ordinary for me. It depends on what time you want the finance committee meeting. So that don't think about me. I don't know if you're thinking about department heads too that might have to come and talk about their FTs.
You may be willing to do that to yourself. I'm not willing to do it to you. That's just me.
So,
So we could have it at 10. I don't know what your schedules are like during the day, but whatever time you want to do it is fine.
Well, if it's just the essays, how complicated are they? We probably don't
They're
even
not.
need an hour,
Hopefully not.
I'd be fine if you guys just approve them. I'm sure the departments would be fine with that too.
Just put them up on the screen right now so we
That's
can
right,
see them.
here.
It'll be good.
Here, yeah. Yeah, the only thing is, we need to get them posted and out so the public can see them. So it doesn't matter to us how we do it.
Oh, you're saying it needs to be on Monday? It cannot be today to approve those essays?
I think that's a Takia question. I think we have to give notice, and if we put them up right now and meet at 3 or whenever you're going to do the finance committee, was that going to be at the end of the meeting? 5? I don't know if that's enough meeting for a FT. I don't know, enough notice. It's a law office question.
yeah, I think you're right. It's office of law question.
Well, if
Then
we wait
let's-
until Monday, just so you guys can have it posted, it won't be on the agenda for Monday.
Can we update? Can we put it on the agenda in anticipation of the finance committee meeting that immediately proceeds?
How about if we meet tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock and do it?
How about you call me when it's over and let me know what you've done?
Oh, Carrie's here.
gosh.
So
Yeah, I
just one
think we need Ms. Green and Director Dickinson and City Manager Gerald to coordinate with the Office of Law and find out. We have the Office of Law here. All right.
Magic.
Like magic.
On the
have
spot.
Magic.
All right. So what's your question?
So there are some. Maybe you should explain it, Katie or Jody.
Sure. We've got 2 FTs, possibly 3. So budget revisions that we would like voted on, and then they would then be voted on by council. So we want to
On
make
Monday.
sure that,
Mhm.
we want to make sure timing wise and we're giving enough notice publicly as well for these.
So it's going to be voted on Monday?
Yeah. So as long-
Ideally, we would like the council to approve them on Monday night. So we're trying to get into one of these finance committee meetings to look at them. So we're wondering about the notice.
Okay. So since you have already an agenda out for this afternoon's meeting, theoretically, you can add it to that agenda because that notice has already been put out that there is a meeting of the finance committee. It can, whatever needs to sort of be supplemented and maybe uploaded to Granicus can be uploaded as long as you make a motion. Well, as long as the finance committee makes a motion to amend the agenda on the floor, then the notice is sufficient because the notice has already been out there that there's going to be a public meeting of the finance committee. So if you're trying to meet on Monday and there hasn't already been a meeting scheduled or notice or an agenda posted or anything like that, you will have to do that 24 hours prior to. But for this purposes of this afternoon's meeting, since an agenda has already been posted, notice has already been given, you can amend that agenda at any time, including on the floor. But if you have the time to sort of upload the documents prior to the meeting, that would be beneficial.
Great. Thank you, Carrie.
You're welcome.
Okay, good. So that's how we'll do it. We'll amend the agenda. It is a meeting of the Finance Committee, even though the whole council's there. We'll amend the agenda when I open up the meeting this afternoon. We'll add these, and if you could send them to us in advance so we can look at them. We'll add this to the agenda, and I think we'll dispatch with those first before we get into the more general meeting. Good. All right. So,
No meeting. No 6 a.m. meeting, right, Sheila?
Not for me.
I think we've done what we need to do, and we can have Alderman Payon perform his absolutions and let people go off and do reading and fire comments back to me.
Did you guys see
Mr.
the email that I sent that has the agenda with the minutes?
No.
Mr. Chair, I was going to suggest that we ask Ms. Green, have we covered everything we're supposed to cover?
Here's the agenda with,
As far as I know, you guys have.
Okay.
so,
We adjourn.
well, we were supposed to approve the minutes.
And the minutes are attached in Granicus now. I see them.
I think maybe you guys were looking at the 3 o'clock agenda, not the 10 o'clock. So there's 2 agendas for today. The 3 o'clock doesn't have any minutes yet.
Come on.
I went on and I was able to open the minutes on this meeting, for this meeting. The minutes that were to be considered for this meeting. So I don't know what the issue is on the other side.
I think you were right.
Yeah, I have it open. Alderman Payon, are you prepared to vote on them?
On the
Minutes.
minute, sure.
You said you're not sure?
No,
Then
I
we can
said
post.
sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
So
Then
this
I'll make
records our votes. Yep.
Right. It just records everything that we did yesterday. So
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I already made it,
All right.
but I'll make it again.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Don't say we aren't merciful, staff. We are adjourned.
Okay, Alderman Arnett. So
Yes.
let me be clear, and I should have asked this before we close the meeting. So this afternoon, we're going to send our amendments or edits to you by noon
Whatever,
for the
yeah.
report. And Alderman Payon, tell me if I'm wrong. And then at the meeting, we're going to hear from our colleagues, the 3 o'clock meeting, hear from our colleagues. And did I hear you say accept amendments or discuss
Well,
their amendments if they bring them forward?
The meeting of the whole is always a mystery. The meeting for this afternoon is to discuss anything with any other department head. They'll all be there. So we've had police, fire, public works, and transportation. If there are other questions or dialogue, and certainly hopefully policy level dialogue, those will be discussed by our colleagues. Any colleague that wants to discuss amendments, which I think they would be prudent to do, but if they do, we can discuss that. The other thing we do this afternoon is to do these financial transaction things. And then we'll have to add the summary of this afternoon's meeting to the report. So it won't be final until we do that last bit of addition to it. We need to add a couple of other things like the reference to the fact recommendations and that sort of thing.
So may I suggest that we start with the approval of the essays before we get into the discussion about, or FTs or whatever they
Yeah,
are.
we'll amend the agenda, add those to the agenda, and then immediately go to them. Then we'll open it up to the meeting of the whole. And it could be a very short meeting. I mean, maybe people are sick of looking at us. Who knows? But it is the final accommodation to our colleagues to have a more general discussion of what's going on with the budget. All right, we are adjourned, so let's go away.